Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street NOLA and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about this full moon lunar eclipse that's happening tonight on the 25th of March. And I think our first full moon of the year was the 25th of January. So it is Aries season. The sun is in Aries and the moon is opposite, which is Libra. Aries is cardinal fire. This is a very nuanced eclipse. Because there's so much happening in all of the charts. And it's a really behind the scenes sort of deal, I feel like. So our sun is in Aries. Aries is cardinal fire. Aries is the warrior. Aries is our I am presence. Aries is courage. So Aries is also the first sign in the astrological wheel of the zodiac. So we're starting fresh, we're starting new. And right off the bat, what do we start with? We start with this full moon in Libra. Libra is cardinal air. Libra brings in balance. Libra is about yourself and the other. Um, Libra is this full moon in Libra is highlighting how we see ourselves with the other. It's also important to note that the lunar north node is in Aries and the lunar south node is in Libra. So starting off the astrological 2024 year, it's like, wow, all this is happening. The south node is what we're leaving behind, and the north node is what we're moving towards. I'm reading the south node in Libra, leaving behind people pleasing, always making sure the other is taken care of before ourselves. I feel like that is what's being highlighted with this full moon as well. Um, and then across from us is Aries. What are we moving towards? Aries, our I am self, our I am presence, the courage to show up with who we always knew who we were, or maybe the courage to find out who we are now, or even standing up. A lot of us has been going through this journey of who we want to be now. So this is a lot of energy of falling away and moving towards, and this full moon, right? When it's that balance of the masculine and feminine looking at each other face to face, it is this beautiful conversation that they get to have. The moon is going to be in a sextile with Pluto, who is in Aquarius. The moon is at 5 degrees of Libra. Pluto is at 1 degree of Aquarius. So lots of air, lots of uplifting, right? Lots of movement to get things out, stagnant energy out. A lot of movement to get that scale back into balance. Things that were unjust in your life, right? Allow that, or things where you felt were unjust, or you felt like, hey, I didn't think that was fair. Let those things come up, right? Let those things come up so they can be released. Pluto in Aquarius is turning over, bringing in transmutation, death to the old way, how we used to think about things, right? And so Pluto is talking to the moon and to Libra in Libra. So this is a good conversation to have. And again, I can't stress this enough. The fact that the nodes are in both of these signs, leaving behind, getting things back in balance. Libra, wants to start things because it is cardinal air. It wants to start a new way of being balanced. It gets to talk to Pluto. The moon gets to talk to Pluto about how can I do that? What's the easiest route? Because that's kind of like Pluto's thing. Pluto doesn't work at it. He just transmutes things. So one of the themes of this moon is like making things easier in our lives. That masculine energy in all of us is what moves us, is what we go towards. And we are moving more into the divine feminine energy that's on the planet. And the divine feminine receives. So it is this dance of receiving and moving at the same time, right? So perfect example is this full moon. We need to see what we need to let go in order and how to move forward. Mars, the ruler of Aries, has just entered into Pisces. And I think Aries and Mars went under a great transformation. So they now have a conscious. So I now see them as spiritual warriors and just not warriors. So Mars moving into Pisces, he has to go into meditation because this is all part of the job of the spiritual warrior. So before, when he would go into Pisces, he would be very angry, partly agitated, um, not comfortable being in water because he wants to fight. But now that he's got a conscious and part of his training is being the spiritual warrior, he's happier to go into Pisces. Maybe not still the most comfortable, but it's part of his training. If you're a warrior, this is what you got to do. So Aries, his ruling planet is now gone into meditation. So where Aries might come hot off the blocks, if you will, um, the idea is he's not going to be coming off hot up the blocks because he's going to be listening more to his intuition. And so, and it's so hard to talk about in a sense because it's so nuanced. It's not like we just give up and not do anything. But it's just a different energy that's coming in because we've moved out of Pluto's moved out of Capricorn, and Capricorn was very, by the book. Saturn rules Capricorn. We're going to do it this way, my way or the highway. And even our Capricorn friends, they're changing with this energy too. Everyone's got to like kind of loosen up a little bit. And so now with Pluto in Aquarius, it's bringing in more air, more freedom, more movement. And so I think we'll be talking more about orbs, like the orbs of conjunction, orbs of, sextiling. It's coming in and then it's here and then it goes, right? When said before, we were like, okay, this is going to happen at 6:15 on the dot, be there, be square. And it's all changing because of this divine feminine energy. So Aries, who by the way was born from Hera when she got angry about Zeus having a baby without a woman, her rage birthed Aries. And so Aries, he was just known just to go and start fights because that's where he felt most comfortable was fighting. Um, but he always fought along women. He liked to fight along women. He was good friends with the Amazons. So it is this idea to almost let Aries go out in front to fight these fights, right? Because now he has a conscience. Again, I don't think Aries is strategic, if you will. I don't think that's comes in. And I'm not saying if you're an Aries that you aren't a strategic person. I don't mean it that way. We can all be strategic. Um, but the myth of Aries and the idea of Aries, even now, his energy, um, knows knows how to fight. And he's going to show up and he's going to be the best and he's going to have his courage. So, you don't fuck with Aries. Okay. You want him on your team and go get it, Aries. And so that's what we get to stand behind. We get to stand behind, or he gets to stand behind us during this season. You know what? This is who I am now. I don't have to figure out how to get through all these things because I just know if I stand up and I speak my truth, it's going to move forward. The moon is balancing this out. The moon in Libra is saying all those times where we felt like we had to be small or we couldn't show up, this is now changing. And the moon again is that intuition. The moon sees everything, you guys. She witnesses everything. She's not some shrinking violet. I know she's the moon, not a flower, but she's not a shrinking violet. She sees everything. This feminine energy is always here. And now it is uprising on the planet because there's nothing to keep it down. And so as we move forward, that feminine energy is always going to be out front. We've got to get used to this idea of intuit, feeling things and then the action. When before, it was the opposite. We just went. We really didn't think about consequences. And this is what's flipping, right? That's what's coming more into balance again with this full moon. Speaking of the divine feminine, Venus is in Pisces and she's out front of Mars. So she's had a conjunction with Saturn. And Saturn, when she talks with Saturn, she becomes very objective. It is when she's in Pisces, she's exalted in Pisces. That's what she means. She feels very comfortable. She's very psychic. you know, she's feeling, you know, she likes being in Pisces. So she gets to dream. She gets to dream. She gets to feel, you know, beautiful. She gets just to be her authentic self. And so then she meets up with Saturn, and Saturn says, okay, so these are your dreams. Let's be objective about it. How are we going to get there? And she says, okay, yes, we can do that. Instead of just um not paying attention or just thinking, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, no, talking with Saturn in Pisces makes her stronger. Um, because Saturn and Pisces too, Saturn has to soften up a little bit. You know, Saturn has to bring stability to Pisces, but it also allows Saturn to remember how to dream as well. But not to get lost in the fog, if you will, or lost in the, you know, depths of the water. Saturn is a good lighthouse in Pisces. So Venus talks to Saturn. She becomes objective. She starts to see where things are out of balance, right? That full moon, she gets to see where things are out of balance. And then she's going to keep moving on, and she will enter Aries here pretty soon. So the big story of the moon to me, a lot of going on behind the scenes, a lot of talk with the fixed signs, because the moon is in a sextile to Pluto. Jupiter and Uranus is Aquarius ruler, is still in Taurus. They are now in the orb of conjunction. They have an exact conjunction later in April, which is creating new space where there was none. The sun, which rules fixed fire, is in Cardinal Fire. Pluto, that rules fixed water, is in Aquarius. So again, all these fixed signs are just churning, burning, bubbling, all these things, because we are in this huge shift. And it is this huge shift to let this more of this divine feminine energy rise. And it's nothing to be concerned or scared about, but it is this shift in thinking, going full throttle 100% all the time, to maybe sitting with something a little bit first before making those moves. In Aries, again, you know, Aries, I was laughing because when I was reading about Aries, they were saying like they all put his shrines out front of on the border to at the border of the town, because, you know, he was just known to be a little unpredictable, and really he just liked to fight to fight. He would start fights, you know, to fight. He was that guy. And then also but he was also known as the first line of defense. So if you can see Aries now with a conscious, you know, like he knows how to fight. He knows what he's going to do. He knows how to get how to win the fight as well. So if you want in this Aries season, send Aries out first. Have him clear the road, right? Have him clear the way. Have him put things into balance first before. And the idea is thinking, oh, I can call on spirit to help me. I can call on others to help me go first. You know, we always say about your inner dragon when we do moon school or moon circle. Awaken your inner dragon, you guys. Have that inner dragon go out first before you. And then you get to show up. I mean, they've done studies that the heart energy enters the room well before the mental energy. You guys can look this up. Donna Eden has done tons of studies on this, right? And so that heart energy is that divine feminine energy. I would say it's also that divine masculine energy because of Leo. He rules the heart. And so, but that is the energy that we're getting into. We've got to let love go first, inner dragons go first, all these things to clear the way, instead of thinking, oh, I've got to show up and I've got to be right here and I'm going to charge in. That's that old patriarchal way of thinking, and that's what's falling behind. That's what's loosening up. Libra's going to bring this into balance. And I wanted to say this one more time. Places where you thought things were extremely unjust, right? Those things might come to light, because, you know, the moon is passing just slightly in the Earth shadow. This isn't a huge eclipse, but it's just enough to bring those things up. And again, it's at 5 degrees of Libra. That's like the first degree. So it's more, there's the lovers, masculine and feminine coming together. That is more of that energy of The first 5 degrees, more of that young energy. Okay, we can do this. Cardinal energy, get things moving. And so um, allow the moon to eclipse things out, allow the moon to eclipse things in. Again, this is when we're our most psychic. So just sit with it. Sit with it next couple days, today and tomorrow. Be in this energy, see what comes up. Page of Swords, new ways of communicating, air signs. Page of Swords is that young energy. This would be a good example of 5 degrees of Libra, right? What was the past, looking behind? Okay, what needs to change? You can see the wind is blowing. The wind is always blowing with the air signs because, um, you know, the wind elevates us, and we need to remember that. The wind brings in information. The wind takes out things that we don't need to think about anymore. So I'm going to pull one more card, Queen of Swords. We're going to end in on her. Very interesting. So Queen of Swords, she cuts out all the bullshit. She doesn't want any drama. She is very grounded. That's why she has that handout, because no matter what you bring on, she knows how to stay grounded and she knows how to cut out the bullshit, right? We were actually talking about this in our moon circle last night, with the meditation. So let me get her a little bit bigger. Angels, cherubs, the butterfly. The King of Swords also has that butterfly on his throne as well. And I always read it as the more knowledge you get, the more you change, right? It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your stance on things. That's how we grow. Um, Mental energy, swords, right? But also we have to start feeling and thinking with our heart. Queen of Swords, more feminine energy to rule this eclipse, this lunar eclipse, which makes sense. So you guys, when this comes in, you don't have to figure out how to get rid of the drama. You can just decide, I don't want any more drama in my life. And I'm going to send Aries in there. And I'm going to ask this eclipse to eclipse this drama out and go to sleep, see what happens. It's okay to get out of your head and get into your heart. That is that Queen of Swords, no drama. Um, and the trees, of course, blowing in the wind in the back. Okay, you guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a beautiful eclipse. I know one way for me to get back into balance was to rest. I slept like all day. I've been working a lot, which I love. So that's always a blessing, but I was surprised, honestly, how tired I was today. So I was able to take some clients in the morning, sleep, do this. And now I'll go and get some snacks and probably journal. Okay, friends, if you need me, you can reach out on my Instagram, Independent Street Nola, or Seasons of Ritual. And then again, I have websites underneath the same name, and then always here on the YouTube channel. So until next time, we've got a big April coming up for sure. Happy Easter. This is the last week until Easter. So if you are into that stuff, I hope you had a beautiful Palm Sunday, and looking forward to Easter. Until then, I will see you guys soon.